Nothing quite like a spring morning on the lakefront throwing dimes, which is exactly what we see Northwestern quarterback Preston Stone doing here. The battle between Stone and Jack Lausch, one of the main spring storylines in Evanston. Mike Hall now has more with a man who's paying attention to every single one of them.
David Braun, starting his third year as the man in charge of this Northwestern program, joins us now. All right, David, last year, 4-8 season. When you look back at last season, what stands out to you?
You know, obviously a frustrating year for everyone. Was proud of the way that, you know, our program and team continued to fight. But we certainly had a group, or have a group, that has entered this offseason in spring ball, humble, really hungry. The way that our guys have operated throughout the offseason, the way that they're competing throughout spring ball, you know, really excited about the direction this program's going. And, you know, at the end of the day, it was an opportunity postseason for us to, you know, either feel like, you know, it happened to us, or an opportunity to say that this happened for us. It was an opportunity for us to evaluate everything and find a way to get better.
Yeah, but how do you get guys to buy into that? Because that's a smart way as a leader to say this is a healthy mental approach. But how do you actually get those 18, 19, 20-year-olds to buy into that?
Yeah, no, I mean, it's a great question. You know, I think ultimately it was just being really honest, taking ownership. I mean, that ownership starting with me as the head coach, and our staff taking ownership on the areas that we need to get better. You know, I think when a group of young men see, you know, us as a staff evaluating everything that we're doing, and saying that it's starting with us, and asking them to come along and say, hey, you know, we need to get better. It's very evident that we need to get better. And really proud of our leadership, proud of the way that our leadership has, you know, brought along some of the new faces in our program, whether it be the early enrollees or some of our transfers. Really sat down with our leadership this offseason and defined the things that make this program special and how we're going to go compete for Big Ten championships. And you know, it's been great to see the buy-in, and also a certain understanding that, you know, if guys don't want to be a part of where this is trending and how we're operating, you know, ultimately it's a privilege to be playing Big Ten football. And you know, that's something that we see, just the way that our guys are competing throughout spring ball right now.
Well, speaking of spring ball, I'm curious, what has surprised you thus far? Maybe it's a player, maybe it's a position group, maybe it's an overall trend you've seen in the team. But so far in spring, what surprised you?
You know, I wouldn't say that this has surprised me, Mike, but what I'm really proud of is, in a time in college football where the landscape is rapidly changing and there's still a lot of question marks out there, I've just been so proud of the way that our guys have focused on what they can control, and they can control their effort and their attitude daily. You know, the mission that we've put out in front of our team right now is daily improvement. And you know, with a world where there can be a million different distractions right now, this team, this group of young men, this program is just focused on what we can do today to get better. And you know, that's something that's going to have to continue throughout the remainder of spring ball and as we enter into, you know, spring and summer workouts.
Let me give you a chance to shine a spotlight on one or two players. Give me an idea of someone who stood out to you this spring.
Yeah, Mac Uline, our returning Mike linebacker, is someone that just, his leadership has continued to, you know, really develop. He has such a great influence on this entire team. His communication, you know, he's someone, when he's on the field, he makes all, you know, everyone around him, the 10 other guys on the field, better because he's out there with them. Really excited to have Cam Porter back with us. And you know, really excited about that running back room. Obviously having Cam back on the offensive side of the ball as a returning captain, but also Joe Hyman being back with us and his unique skill set, and the development of Caleb Komolafe as a young running back. There's a lot to be excited about in that running back room right now.
Let's stay on offense. Last year, 4 different QBs played for you. What have you seen in that position thus far?
You know, I've seen the level of play in that entire quarterback room rise. It's been awesome to see, and it's a credit to Coach Lujan and the offensive staff. It's a credit to Preston Stone, the way that he's come in as a transfer and built credibility with our entire team, and you know, the amount of experience that he brings into the room. You know, Ryan Bowe's development as a young quarterback, you can tell he's benefiting from being around Preston and being around Jack Lausch, you know, a guy that started you know, a bunch of games for us last year. And you know, obviously Jack is in a unique situation right now. He's participating in spring ball as much as he possibly can, while also being a member of our men's baseball team. And but Jack's playing his best football right now. The development of Ryan Bowe has been really exciting, and Preston Stone, his ability to build credibility when he showed up on campus, and also just a certain presence and command that he has over our offense right now is something that all of us are really excited about.
Describe Preston's game on the field.
Yeah, it's confident. It's commanding when he steps into the huddle. I think there's a level of confidence that exudes out of him that is passed along to the entire offense. He's efficient, he's accurate, and he processes really well. Obviously at the quarterback position, we love to talk about the explosive plays that guys that can create. But the thing that stood out to me about Preston is just a really good processor that understands the defense, understands the weaknesses within the defense, and can really take what the defense is giving them and stay efficient.
What kind of depth do you have on the offensive line this year?
Yeah, much improved. This time last year in spring ball, we had 7 guys participating in spring. We're up to 12, 13, and 14 guys competing in spring ball right now, which is just great for the overall team's development, the offensive line's development. There's competitive depth right now. Just really proud of the progress that room's showing. Everyone from Caleb Tiernan coming back as our starting left tackle. Really raising his level of play to a guy like Jackson Carcello that started some games for us last year at center, and seeing his development. But then there's young guys in that room that are really growing and blossoming. That group is starting to create an identity and a certain level of confidence and swagger, which is absolutely critical to winning in the Big Ten. Also have to give a lot of credit to Bill O'Boyle and the job that he's continued to do with that group. We made a choice, to hire a run game specialist, someone to kind of assist in that O-line room and ensure the overall development of that entire group. And Ryan Olson, that comes from South Dakota State. Ryan had a chance to go out to Washington State and made a decision to be a part of this program, be a part of the Big Ten, and the partnership between Bill O'Boyle, Ryan Olson, and that O-line group right now is something that, is really exciting. We still have a long way to go as an entire program and on the offensive line, but the way that we're operating up front right now on offense, dramatic improvement from this time last year.
One thing that will be the same as last year, in November, you'll be playing home games at Wrigley Field. When you were doing that last year, is there a moment in the game where you kind of catch yourself looking around, or is it sort of like, honestly, wherever we're playing, we're just focusing on the gridiron and what's in front of us?
I think when we played Iowa in the 2023 season, there was certainly that moment of walking out on the field pregame and just taking in Big Ten football, iconic venue like Wrigley Field, the partnership that Northwestern has with the Cubs, and the way that the Cubs have treated us is something that we're all really grateful for. But after that, it's how do we find a way to win this game? And to be honest with you, Mike, we haven't delivered on that mission. Not just last year, but the previous year and years prior. That narrative has to change this season. Wrigley has to be a home field advantage for us. Wrigley has to be a place that we expect victory and come away with wins. And excited to change that narrative this year.
Saturday, you're going to let fans in to watch a practice. I'm curious, you've been around the sport for a while. What do you think the future of spring football is?
Oh gosh, that is, it's up in the air, Mike. We have to get this all sorted out. And to be honest with you, I think all of us that are stakeholders in college football need to be willing, once the dust settles here a little bit, to reimagine everything and really evaluate what's in the best interest of our student athletes, what's in the best interest of developing over the course of a 12-month calendar, because right now it's just piecemeal together, different transfer portal windows, everything that's going on, old structure, spring ball based on a structure that is dramatically changed. To be honest with you, I think we could be 2-3 years down the road and not even be having conversations about spring ball. Some of this work and development that you're working through in spring ball may be something that's pushed back into later spring or early summer. All things that are up in the air right now. You can only work off the framework that you're provided with right now, but I think all of us need to be willing to reimagine it moving forward.
David Braun, head coach of the Wildcats. Thanks for your time, man. Enjoy the rest of spring.
Thanks, Mike.